Welcome back to the channel, guys, and what I'm going to be doing today is a kit review on this bit of kit right here, which is the solitary ultralight Cape Shelter from Onewind Outdoors. So it's December, I'm at the bug out in Billfwells and it's actually not too bad weather at the moment. Last night it was raining quite heavy, but today it's actually relatively dry and you can probably see the weather's quite good. So what I thought I'd do is give this little baby a bit of a trial in the field before I take it out on the hills. I'll just do it in the woods here just to give myself a kind of safe environment to make sure that I'm happy with using this before I take it out in the wilds. Now, as you can see, this is a super compact bit of kit. I'm going to get it out in a minute and I'm going to go through the parts, get it set up, and I'm going to talk through how I see it being best used. So this is the bag it comes in here then. It weighs 300 grams, so it's very, very lightweight, and as you can see, you know, the size of it compared to my hand, it's very compact indeed. The dimensions of it are 220 centimetres on one side by 330 centimetres and then 155 sort of wide. So going into the bag then, so you've got the compression sack there and it's made out of this nice lightweight nylon material. Going into it, you've got a peg bag there, which is unusual for a lot of tarps and stuff. They don't give you that sort of kit along with the tarp. So you've got 5 pegs there that look like they're pretty decent quality, to be fair. Then you've got a guy line there, high visibility colour obviously. And then there's this little bag in here that says gift on it, with a couple of these little mini carabiners in there. So let's see if they're useful for getting this set up. Then you've got the actual tarp itself there. So what I'm going to do then is I'm going to get this laid out and then check out the actual dimensions and size of it. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to get it out. This is all new to me as well. And that looks pretty small to me. Yeah, not an enormous bit of kit. The material does feel as though it's going to be quite good protection from the elements if it's raining. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get this set up now in its sort of main configuration and then check it out. So walking around the shelter then, I'll do a quick 360. You can see at the front there you've got the pole that's just fixed in by tension, and then you've got the line fixed out the front there. You've got an open end in front this side, pegged in just there, and at the back just there. You see the tension on that, pegged in just there, and then the 4th one there, and the 5th one at the front. Okay, so that's the shelter set up there then. As you can see, it's quite minimal. However, we'll take you inside it in a sec, and you can see there is, you know, just enough space for one person. So for just a lightweight shelter in case of emergency or something like that on the hills, this is not a bad option actually. So the way it works then is it's pegged out at 4 corners. You then get a point of elevation in the centre here, so you can use either a walking pole or you could cut a piece of, you know, like a log or whatever, branch to size, and then it's just pegged out the front here. As long as you've got a nice bit of tension on like I have here, then the ranger's going to hit that and slide straight off. So I'm going to take you inside and have a look at it now. So just looking inside it then, you can see how tight that is, and obviously you want to have that set up depending on the prevailing wind conditions. Getting inside it then, what I'm going to do is have a little look inside here, and yeah, so if you're a particularly tall person, you know, if you're 6 foot or above, then it'd be a bit of a squeeze in here. You probably have to curl up a little bit. I'm 5'8" and I fit in here no problems. And if you keep low, you know, if you're laying down, then no part of my body's touching the actual the tarp itself, so that, you know, the rain's not going to pull through and go onto you. But yeah, quite a good little shelter actually, and I'm interested in trying this outdoors and giving it a proper field trial to see how it performs. As you can see, you know, you can't quite sit up in this, but you can definitely get some good shelter from the elements. You definitely want to have the wind behind you so you didn't have the rain coming in this way. But as long as you set it up with the wind to your back, this would provide some really good shelter, you know, in the case of you being caught out or just doing a little bit of casual camping in sort of the not colder months of the year. So another thing you can do with this shelter then is add another one to the front of this. Now if you have a look on here, there's actually a zip running along the front of that there. So if you add another one of these, if there was two of you, you could attach another one to the front end along here and here, and you could make yourself a complete sort of pyramid shaped tent, and that would obviously give you much better protection from the elements without this big front end. And you could definitely fit one person in each side of the shelter. It wouldn't cut down on your space. Obviously it'd be a little bit cozy in there, and you know, you may have some issues with condensation and stuff, but as you can see at the back end there's a little bit of space there as well, so there's a bit of space for air getting in as well. So it's quite a versatile bit of kit. So as the name says on the tin, this is a cape shelter. So surprise, surprise, you can actually wear this as a cape too. Now what it's got is a zip running along the two front ends, and the way it works, and it's quite basic, but in an emergency situation what you can do is zip up the front of that, and you can actually throw this over your head. And there we have it. So you've got an emergency bit of waterproof protection as well. So that zips right up to the neck, and there's also some little toggles here, so you can pull those tight against your neck if it's really hammering down. And you know, it's not the sort of thing I do, but in an emergency, you know, for whatever reason you need to give yourself extra protection from the rain, or if you don't wear a waterproof jacket and you use this sort of thing, then it's definitely a usable bit of kit. It's big enough as well to go over at least a medium-sized rucksack. So quite a versatile bit of kit. What I'm going to do now is going to go through some what I see as pros and cons of this shelter then. So the first one, pros then, super lightweight. I mean 300 grams for the whole setup, that's really good. It's hardly you're hardly even going to feel that in your pack. Second one is how compact it is. It's mega compact. You know, it's half the size of even a lightweight basher. This is amazingly small. Third one I'd say is it's so easy to set up, it's untrue. It's literally 5 pegs, a line, and as long as you can get some sort of pole, whether that's a walking pole or just a piece of a branch or something, and it's dead easy. It's just dead easy to set up. Okay, cons then. It's obviously not going to be your go-to choice for camping in really cold weather. Okay, I mean if you wanted to hardcore it, it's going to give you some shelter, but I wouldn't suggest this would be your first choice for going out winter camping. Okay, so that's the first one. Second one then, even though it's relatively sturdy, it probably wouldn't take an awful lot to damage it either. So I'd say you'd have to take care of this and think about how you're treating it and stuff like that, and not rough it around as though it's, say, an army issue basher. So I wouldn't say it's delicate, but it's certainly not as bomb proof as something like an army issue basher. Third one, you definitely need a pole to set it up. Okay, so it's not like you know, your traditional tent where you've got poles and stuff with you, but you know, with a tent you've got to take poles anyway, haven't you? So the third one for me is you've got to have some sort of pole. So if you were just caught out on the hills and you didn't have trekking poles and there was no trees around, then it's not going to be possible to set this up. So it's perfect if you use trekking poles, but if you don't, then you're going to have to kind of find something to give that third point elevation. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to summarise then. So how do I see this being best used? Right, okay, so as I've said earlier, in my pros and cons, I wouldn't use this as a winter camping tent, definitely not, because obviously it's open-ended and it's not going to give you the full protection that a proper tent would. Okay, but what I would see it being really good, useful for is an emergency shelter. Okay, with this thing here, it's so small and compact, as I showed at the start of the video, you wouldn't even notice it in your pack. So no matter what the weather, this is going to give you a certain degree of protection. So if you weren't planning on being outdoors overnight, but you got caught out for some reason, maybe you got lost, maybe you got injured, you know, or both, then this could potentially save your life, couldn't it? So you could set this up, and you're never going to carry a full tent in your rucksack, are you? Unless you're intending to use it. But if you were out hiking for the day, you could just chuck this in and you wouldn't even notice it was there. So an emergency shelter, I think, would be a really good use for this. The second one then is for use in warmer times of the year. So you can actually plan on using this in the summer months or spring or even the autumn. I mean, right now we're in December and actually at the moment it's quite mild, and I'd be really happy to just use this as it is, you know, with a sleeping bag inside there. As long as you've got it set up with a prevailing wind to your back, then this would be absolutely fine, okay? So that's how I see this being best used. So let me know what you think of this shelter, whether you think it's a useful addition to your kit, potential addition, whether you've used one of these, what you think of it, whether you've had good or bad experiences with it. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and as always, stay prepared.